Hello, busy ladies. Kim Jakes here, and I would love to invite you to take a moment for yourself and listen to this week's Wellness Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I hop on here in order to be able to educate you a little bit about the Midlife Metabolism Reset Way. And today we're going to be talking about the concept of healthy fats. Wait a minute. What do you mean healthy fats, right? What I know about us is we were brought up in the 70s, the 80s, maybe the early 90s. And so we were brought up at the peak of what is considered to be the fat-free revolution that occurred when we walked into the grocery store in the 80s. We were indoctrinated with the concept that eating fat was going to not only um, hinder our heart health, but also eating fat was going to make us fat. That's what we were indoctrinated with. The food industry did an amazing job of marketing that storyline to us. And it can be a little challenging to then step back and say, wait a minute, was that true? Was it not true? Well, I'm coming to you today as a midlife health and lifestyle coach, having worked in the industry of wellness now for my entire career. And it's not having anything to do with what I have studied or my credentials. I want you to take a peek around a little bit, despite the fact that for the last 40 years, we have been eating a low fat diet as a society. Our obesity levels have increased 800%. So I'm just going to leave that fact there for a moment, let it sit there, because sometimes we can lean into science to be able to gain validation for an idea. Sometimes we can just look with our eyes and look around and say, wait a minute, there's something that doesn't just add up, right? If we've been eating less fat than we ever have in our entire history of humanity, why is it that our obesity levels are 800%? Now, I'm not going to blame it all on the fact that we have not been eating enough fat, but I also want to let you know that what the food industry did is when they took fat out, because fat helps food taste good, it's palatable when it has healthy fat consistency to it. Our body craves it, but they stuffed it with sugar to make it more palatable. So it's been a two-step process, right? We have removed healthy fats. We've also really stockpiled the amount of sugar that we've been eating as a society. And so those two things do a dance together. When we don't eat enough fat, we crave more sugar. That's what the food industry recognized. They stocked it full of sugar. When we eat less sugar, it's a good idea to perhaps explore eating more healthy fats so that we can mitigate the withdrawal and process and the cravings that can sometimes happen when we detox our bodies from sugar. So the experiment of the 80s is over. We now know that eating a low-fat diet not necessarily has done us as much good as we had suspected. But not all fats are created equal, right? Some fats can cause inflammation. Some fats could be considered carcinogenic even. So what fats do we eat? What fats do we not eat? Well, I want to let you know anything that was highly marketed in the 80s, not necessarily in our best interest. So all of the vegetable oils, the canola oils, the safflower oils, soybean oils, all of those vegetable-based oils have not, they're considered polyunsaturated fats, and they tend to create a good amount of inflammation inside our bodies. So I'm going to give you some key oils to focus on including into your diet. That way, what you focus on, you get more of, right? And so I'm going to focus on what to include versus what to exclude so much in this video. But I do also want to let you know that there's also a concept of a ratio of fats that's important to think about. And I'll teach you a simple way of how to think about that. There's omega-6 fats, there's omega-3 fats, and it's typical that in our society we have a huge amount of omega-6 fats in our diet, not necessarily a lot of omega-3s. And so I'll give you a way to be able to easily supplement the omega-3s that we typically have deficient, because when that ratio is off, we tend to have more health issues and more inflammation in our body as well. So even though it might be a healthy fat, it's good to have a balanced profile of different healthy fats. And ultimately, you're not here to become a nutritionist or a scientist. You're here to just stockpile your pantry and be able to grab and go healthy foods, knowing that whatever is in your pantry and in your refrigerator is good to go, so that you can live your busy life and be able to support your midlife metabolism. So I'll cover that as well. So first and foremost, good to note, just keep it really simple and always eat healthy fats with every meal, even if it's a tiny little bit. So again, I'll tell you what those healthy fats are, but just when you're putting together your plate, think protein, think vegetable, think a little bit of healthy fat, because fats are important for our brain. Boy, midlife, our brain needs a little boost, doesn't it? With that midlife brain fog. And quite honestly, women are at risk for a lot of cognitive decline post-menopause as well. And so it's a really good idea to be able to just think of the importance it has for our brain, for our cells, for our nervous system as a whole. Also, hormone production and balance requires a good, healthy fat profile. There's a lot of shifts and changes that are happening inside our bodies and our hormones during midlife. So we're just helping to smooth the way a little bit by allowing for our body to have what it needs, all right? Healthy fats, consider things like ghee. Maybe this is the first time you've heard of ghee, right? It's a purified butter. It is used heavily in India as it's part of an Ayurvedic medicine tradition and Ayurvedic cooking tradition. It's very heat tolerant. So this is a really good oil to be able to fry things in. Now, when I'm talking frying, I'm not talking like sizzling frying. That's typically never a good idea. But when you're like sauteing some vegetables or frying your eggs or things like that, ghee is a really, really good solution to be able to use at high temperatures or roasting, things of that nature. Olive oil, on the other hand, although it's an incredibly healthy oil for you, it's not quite as heat tolerant, all right? So it does have a point at which if it goes too hot, it becomes less healthy, right? Because it's gone beyond its kind of like its comfortable place of heat, and it becomes too cooked. We don't want to consume things that are too highly cooked. Our body doesn't respond to it as well. So it's a little bit less heat tolerant, but certainly it is an amazing oil to be able to cook things at lower temperatures, to be able to use as dressings. And you'll note it's very famous that the Mediterranean diet is very healthy for you. And some of that has to do with the use of olive oil, right? Avocado oil, more heat tolerant, right? It's a great oil to have right on the side of your oven because you can use it for everything. It's a very mild taste. We don't talk about it as much in our society, but it's an incredibly healthy option to use for anything that you're cooking, any salad dressings, a very, very diverse use. And also there are things that you can eat that are good quality fats, like walnuts. Walnuts tend to be a fat that is has a good ratio of omega-3s and omega-6s, great for salads, great for snacks. You can crush them up small and put them into, like if you were to make a really good quality healthy chocolate treat for yourself with dark chocolate and some coconut oil and some almond butter. These are things that I love to make for myself. Walnuts is a really good addition to a meal like that. Now, omega-6s and omega-3s. Omega-6s tend to be found in all processed foods, like all of them. Anything that is cooked with or made with any form of vegetable oil, like a canola oil, a safflower oil, you find them in surprising places. I once was looking for a pesto. I wanted to have a pesto, not made with a canola oil base, but made with an olive oil base. I grabbed intuitively a pesto made by an olive oil company but they did not use olive oil. They used canola oil, surprisingly enough. So it's good to look on the back just to make sure that what you're purchasing is a healthy oil versus an unhealthy oil, because it can be very surprising where that happens. Okay, so anything with any of those oils is omega-6 heavy. Where we would receive our omega-3s would be in things like fatty fish, chia, hemp, and flaxseed, and supplementation, because I no, the majority of modern day society, human beings are not eating a lot of fatty fish, chia, hemp, and flaxseed. Now, I do encourage people to consume those, but we are consuming so many omega-6s that in order to create the balance, it's just a good idea to supplement your omega-3s. The one that I recommend is comes out by a company called LifeVantage that I do quite transparently have an affiliate relationship with, but only because the quality of the products that they use are exceptional. It has not just omega-3, but also omega-7 and vitamin D, which is essential for everyone. Now, when you are consuming a omega product, an omega supplement, if you are consuming it and you're burping up a taste of fish oil after, step away from it, throw it away. I don't care how much you spent on it. That means that it is a rancid product. You do not want to be consuming a product that then you taste the back taste of it. One of the things you want to look for is that that is not the case, as well as making sure that it's sustainably sourced fish. There's a lot of farmed fish out there that honestly are just inflammatory. They're not healthy for us to consume. So making sure that it's wild caught, sustainably sourced, it's processed really freshly, and the omegas from LifeVantage, you can actually trace them boat to bottle. You know how fresh they actually are. So healthy fats with every meal. What can that look like? Well, drizzling your salad with some avocado oil, some olive oil, adding some walnuts to it or some hemp seeds to it, adding some healthy grass-fed butter to either your tea, your chai, your coffee. It's a great way to add a little flavor and fattening up that beverage for yourself is a great way to do that. In Nepal, they actually make fatted tea, and it's famous for the action of actually stirring it up shifts the molecular structure and gives your body a really nice sense of energy. So it's not just the butter fat itself, but the mixing of it, the processing of it, that also adds to the benefit. Lots of good information on that. And if you're going to be eating a snack like an apple, just adding a little almond butter to it, not peanut butter. Peanut butter is incredibly high in omega-3s. Almond butter or walnut butter or cashew butter, a little bit more balanced in that omega-3, omega-6 profile. And it's just healthier. And like I said, if you make yourself some sort of a chocolate treat, just adding a little fat to it. So those are some ways that you can think about being able to add in foods. And I just want to let you know there's some really easy ways to do that. So as an example, Primal Kitchen has a really great avocado salad dressing oil. It's surprising how, when you look at the back of salad dressings, how many of them are just canola oils, safflower oils, soybean oils, looking for a good quality oil. Going ahead and looking at, the Primal Kitchen mayonnaise is also a really great source of avocado oil mayonnaise. So just taking a couple of extra minutes as you're shopping to be able to think, what kinds of fats do I want to stock my pantry with to be able to support my midlife metabolism, my healthy brain, and allow for my body to really feel satisfied and kind of bypassing the sugar cravings. So thanks so much. If you'd like any more information about this, in the description below, you'll find some links to other information as well. And I do have a great guide called Kicking Sugar to the Curb that has a 3-day meal plan and recipes as well. So I hope you're having a great day, and I look forward to seeing you at the next Wednesday Wellness webinar.